Hey guys, so keeping up with the development diaries, I'm just gonna do a quick overview of what I'm working on these days and what my focus is. You can see that I have a little bit of like an improved, or I hope it's improved, hut that I'm streaming on top of. I'm like kind of continuously trying to do improvements, trying to make things look a little bit nicer. Like the task list that I have on the right here, for example, now is has the resolution that it needs. I just found out that the way that I was doing it had a lot of kind of crushed. Yeah, I was getting blurry text. Some of the text is still blurry, but I'm working on it. So I want to share right now is that the game that we're working on at Arctic Theory. Uh, we have our kind of technology prototype going live again. It's actually been out live for a couple of days. Uh, so the prototype is called, or the kind of the technology. This is kind of a technology platform, or not really a technology platform. It's a test area, I would say. So this is where we deploy all of our code, all of our MMO code. We deploy a lot of the kind of game features and things like that, just to make sure that it works in multiplayer and in the MMO kind of space. And it's actually gone through a couple of iterations through the years actually now. So this is what you're seeing here is actually the last iteration. We haven't updated the screenshots yet. So yeah, basically we just updated it with new graphics and a little bit closer to the annex game that I think I shared. Yeah, I've shared this a while back. So these graphics here are in the next iteration of this. So we are working on trying to get the servers up and running. I worked great over the weekend, but I ran into problems when I was deploying the new servers on Monday. And one of the reasons is that we are running our staging branch and our live branch while we're in development. Like, they're pretty tightly coupled, and I made a mistake. So I messed up the basically how it works is that when the client tries to connect to the server, it establishes what's called a beacon connection with an Unreal server, and we have our beacon servers behind a load balancer with a fixed IP address, and then we have our basically our different branches, kind of our live branches, what's public to the players. Then we have a staging branch and a couple of test branches. The test branches, and particularly the staging branch, just have another port, or just connecting to another port on that load balancer. So what happened was that I messed up a little bit. So now there's only one load balancer, and it's pointing to live, and it's just very kind of flaky right now. So the servers are up some of the times, and well, the servers are up, it's just nobody can connect to them consistently. So this is something that I'm working on these couple of days, figuring out, not only figuring out what's happening, because I have a pretty good idea of what's happening, but I'm trying to make it so that there's a little bit more of a situational awareness for what's going on. I mean, uh, right now, when you launch the game, you're just getting a black screen, and you have to dig through the logs to figure out what's happening. So I want to make this kind of visible to the players, saying like, okay, so you're unable to connect to the server, your connection to the beacon server or the lookup server has failed. Please try again, and things like that. Because I mean, we're never gonna get around all server issues or all connection issues. So it's very important that we put an emphasis on making this clear to the players. So that's actually really exciting. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about was that I had this. I've been thinking a lot about open development, and what is open development, and what is the difference between open development and open source development, for example. And I'm still trying to kind of formalize exactly what my view of open development is. And I've been working on making Unreal tools, like trying to move our tools over to Bazel, which is this is a build system from Google. And the things that I see that are very valuable, at least for me and my pipeline and my work, is that I can pretty easily I can give this to my developers and my users, and it just takes care of so many of the kind of dependency problems that you would have when you're onboarding someone. So, for example, in the version that I have right now, we're writing a bunch of kind of Python scripts, just simple Python scripts to do kind of simple maintenance tasks on the project. And one of the things that we've run into in the past is that, for example, like you have to be sure that the user has the correct version of Python installed, and you have to be sure that the user has the all of these kind of tools available at the same version. In the Python case, for example, if we're not using pipenv or something like, or a virtual what is it called, virtual machine, virtual Python installation. If you're not using something like this, you have to make sure that the user has the correct Python version installed on their computer, and this causes kind of thrashing, like you're always maintaining something doesn't work. You're always like, I don't trust the environment for my tools. So what I've been doing, and basically in my own project, is that we just have this kind of simple, really simple project that I'm calling Bazel Rules Unreal. And here, I think I have it here. Right now, it's not doing anything super complicated. But what it's doing is it has an HTTP archive pointing at the these are actually the Python rules, and through the Python rules, I'm actually getting a Python interpreter. So anyone who runs our kind of internal scripts that are using these tools are getting, or like I can be sure that they're using a Python installation. And I can control what requirements, like if I need to use any third-party libraries or anything like that in our tools, I can do that. So this isn't ready. I still have most of the code checked into the project itself, or in a submodule in the project itself. But coming back to the thinking about open development and open source development, I've decided to make the Bazel rules, the Unreal rules that I'm working on, open source. And once I have something working, I'm going to try and push this out and see if I can get someone to both comment on the code and, I mean, ideally help. So if I can find another studio or another Unreal developer who is interested in this and wants to work on this, then I would love to do that. But it isn't ready. It doesn't do anything yet, and I'm still kind of slowly migrating the actual Unreal code over the actual build code itself. I think I don't think there's even anything in here. Yeah, so I have a couple of kind of just old tests that aren't really used. So basically, my idea here is trying to do both open development and open source development, sharing what my goals are, sharing why they benefit my studio, and hopefully get someone else to contribute to it, and then everyone kind of wins. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, I did share this on Twitter yesterday. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Yeah, so it's the same on the subject of being trying to be open with what I'm doing. As creative director of Arctic Theory, I wanted to give a little bit of an insight into what kind of my role is and what I'm doing kind of day to day. So here I just shared one of the kind of vision documents that we have. We're making a remote power station for our game. And basically, I just wanted to share that this is the type of stuff that I do. Like, what are the kind of moving parts? Where are the areas that I want to emphasize? I want visual effects here and here. I want audio. So I'm not really doing any detailed design or dictating how this is going to look or anything like that. This is just kind of the high level inspirational design. So I make a lot of these things here. So related to that, I started to kind of take the dust off an old tool or an old environment that I worked on a while back, and I wanted to see how much work it would be to actually get that up and running again, because we are moving closer and closer to production, which means that we are making more and more content. We're not doing as much exploration. We're just kind of making content that is supposed to have functionality, and then we can test gameplay and stuff like that. So a couple of years ago, I made a tool that's called Sentinel. So this is a really old kind of dashboard showing off what it did. So basically, this is a dashboard here. and there's an automatic process in Unreal that runs, and you can assign assets to this. And for example, yeah, this is all very broken. But you can assign assets to this here, and here you can see that I have the like I know how many milliseconds the draw is taking. I mean, this is here fixed on 16 frames per second, which is the 16 milliseconds, which is 60 FPS. So basically, I want to set up my all of the content that I'm building, like this one here. I'm gonna set it up in this automatic kind of screenshot gathering idea. So none of the code works anymore, but the idea I think is still very strong. So here you can see that I had this chest that I was testing out. It tells me how many triangles this chest is, how many draw calls the chest is, which is really high. It gives me a dump of the GPU stats. And I would actually say that I made this before I learned how to do any real C++ programming. So this was all just parsing log files and running commands and things like that. Let's see, it's getting a little bit dark here. Let's turn on the lights. Yeah, so here, so the idea here was that this is just run automatically in the background, and then with more and better data parsing, I can see are the assets themselves changing. If someone changes an asset or changes a material, what is the what is the kind of impact that's going to have on the whole thing. So yeah, this is a tool that I worked on a lot in the past years when I was working on Dust, for example, Dust 514. Didn't really finish it. I guess one of the reasons was that I wasn't really an experienced enough Unreal coder at the time, and also my role is a little bit different. But now there's a bit of an opportunity for me, I think, to at least put get the basics in again, and hopefully make something that works. So yeah, that's yeah, okay. So yeah, so that's it for my let's see, my Slack notifications are coming in. Let's turn this off. Yeah, so this is